Well, where does Mississippi State really rank in college football? You might be surprised.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. My name is Jaron Spor. I'm a national college football writer at Athlon Sports. That's Landon McBride. We've got some more football news to get into today. Blake Shapen spoke with the media. What did he have to say, particularly about the offensive line, and were there any red flags in the quotes he gave? Also, Brennan Thompson also was available for the media, and he gave some great quotes talking about how he's progressing and picking up things in his first year in Starkville. But we got to start things off with CBS had ranked every single FBS Division I college football team, all 136 teams. And at number 70 comes the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Too low or just right?
I'd have to say it's probably about just right. You're pretty much right in the middle. At 70, it's hard to get much more right in the middle than where they are. I mean, you could argue that they should probably be a couple spots higher, probably higher than Toledo, but they're in that right range. We've talked about that a lot with tiers in terms, I think they're kind of in that 60 to 75 tier is kind of where they belong.
Yeah, and for those that may be curious about their opening 4 games, we talked yesterday, so the everydayers might remember that. We talked yesterday about them possibly starting 4-0, or at least getting predicted to start 4-0. Southern Miss, the first game of the year, they are picked at 125 in the country, so a little behind Mississippi State. Obviously, a little behind. And then obviously Alcorn State is a Division II FCS team, so they're not on the list. But Northern Illinois comes in at 101, so also behind Mississippi State. And as people remember, we talked about this. They lost the most production in all of college football. They're 136 in returning production. Arizona State, on the other hand, is number 11. So that's your first 4 games that you would have to beat to start 4-0. But like you mentioned, the 70 ranking, a little surprising. I mean, the FPI has them at 52, I believe it was. Yeah, 52. 70 is a little low behind some teams like Toledo, obviously Arizona, Maryland, Boston College, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Rutgers, Michigan State, James Madison, and Virginia. That's kind of your 60 through 69 that are right above them. So a little surprising, but when you go 2-10, that's what you can expect.
Yeah, everyone in that cluster is kind of like the question mark teams. It's kind of like they didn't know what to do with them, so it's like we'll slap them all right in the middle of the rankings. All of those teams, I mean, the majority of them either are massive transfer classes, some have new coaches, some are new quarterbacks, some are developing teams. It's all kind of like,
right,
yeah, you could argue that we should be a few spots higher, but like I mentioned, it's kind of in that right tier. So I mean, it felt good not seeing us at the bottom of a list,
right.
But
and to be fair, Toledo, you said they should be higher in Toledo. Toledo did come into Starkville last year and win 41-17. So
yeah, that is true.
I know it's
just
last,
the name Toledo.
I know.
It should be.
And I know that was last year and things changed, rosters changed and all that, but I am not mad about them putting Toledo ahead of Mississippi
Me either.
State.
When I actually think about it, it's just that name recognition. I'm immediately like, yeah, Toledo shouldn't be above us.
Right. And I think Mississippi State will be a better team than Toledo this year. Yes. I just think after how poor last year went, I'm perfectly fine with teams maybe underestimating, maybe picking them exactly where they should be. But the teams kind of, or people and experts kind of, overlooking Mississippi State to an extent.
That's true. I am too. I'm never a fan of massive expectations. Give me some, but not a lot. And this year, Like, I mean, this feels right. Arizona, they're another weird team. What are they going to be? You could argue that we
Right.
could be above them. I mean, they lost McMillan, who was basically the
Right.
focal point of the offense. They have their so, yeah, it feels good, but it's also kind of it's in that range where it's like you can prove that you should be higher, or if things kind of go the way we think they might go, maybe it proves that people were right and you are kind of in this range.
Right, and I'm fine with people not talking about Mississippi State much. I think that's after you have a down season like last year, you should want that coming into a season where people aren't talking about you, or when they are talking about you, they're talking about you in a negative light. Because I think that helps motivate you and kind of fuel you a little bit to this season. Now, don't go out and prove them right by having a bad season. That's the key. And so, I saw someone say on our 4-0 video that, hey, I think they're going to go 1-3 in their first 4 games. And I'm assuming that one win is against Alcorn State. That would be a disastrous start to the season. And you might not win another game the rest of the season, because I think if you go 1-3, you're not winning a conference game, most likely.
Yeah, if you start 1-3, you're most likely going with a 1-11, and everyone's been fired. You can't keep someone if somehow you get worse off of a 2-10 year. So I would be shocked if this team starts. Like, I really think they're going to start 3-1. I think 4-0 is a real possibility, but I'll be shocked if it's worse than 2-2. Like, legitimately shocked.
Yeah, I would say 3-1 is probably what will happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you start 2-2, that is, I understand it's not a terrible record, but I think it would be a gut punch.
Yeah,
because that means you lost to Alcorn State, Northern Illinois, or Southern Miss, assuming you lost to Arizona State. It'd be worse if you beat Arizona State and went 2-2, because that means you got upset by 2.
They started 1-3, and the one win is against Arizona.
Yeah,
State.
That would not be fun at all. But you don't want to be this low in rankings. Don't go 2-10. Like, I understand it's hard to rank 136 teams first off, especially with the transfer portal and all the new things that happen to a team.
Any game is played.
Right. I mean, things just change so much. But if you're Mississippi State, I mean, there's no team above them that I'm like, okay, yeah, they're for sure better than that team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even like West Virginia, who I think West Virginia is going to be better than some people think this year. I don't think they're going to be great, but I think they're going to be better than a lot of people think. Yeah. Oklahoma State, we've seen so many times, anytime that they have a bad year and everyone's down on them, they then pop off a great year. So Michigan State, obviously the head coach is in his second season. Aiden Childs is in his second season. Like, I could see them having a decent season in the Big Ten. So it's hard to say, that definitively they're better than that team. I mean, because there's not a team above them. Maybe Houston at 53, which I think is a little high, that you could say, Mississippi State's for sure better than them, that I think is for sure better than them. But I mean, you're just splitting hairs at this point.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, Texas State at 59, probably. I mean, that's just such a weird team.
Their offense is elite, though.
Yeah, it is. So it feels weird to be in the middle and be okay with it, but that's also probably a good thing. I mean, there's a couple, there's some power conference teams below you, UCF, Stanford, and I almost said Oregon State, but I don't know if they're technically power conference anymore. I don't know what's happening there.
Right. Yeah.
There's a few down there. So it's not like it's Mississippi State, then all like the group of 5 schools and stuff. So you're still in a place where there should be some expectations that you do get better, which we think that is a legitimate possibility. And that 3-1 is the goal, especially when one team is Division II and the other 2 are ranked in the hundreds.
Right. And again, we talked about how Northern Illinois has kind of been a tricky team for many years, but they are returning hardly anyone from last year's team, after the team that beat Notre Dame last year. And so we'll see what kind of team they are, because there's a lot of unknowns there. But I mean, again, don't go 2-10. You won't be you can't be. I cannot be upset by any ranking because of what just happened last year.
Exactly.
It's hard to be upset at any of the rankings. They could have said, hey, they're 136. And while I would disagree with that,
I'd be a little mad at that. Let's be honest.
I would disagree with that. I can't be mad at it when you go 2-10. I just can't.
Didn't you guys go 2-10 in like a different conference? So I think you could be mad about it.
Maybe. I just wouldn't be mad about it because you did it to yourself. That's my feeling. You did it to yourself, and then you have a coach that's not proven yet as a head coach.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
there's some teams that went 2-10, but they have a coach that's been decent. I mean, we saw Kentucky go 4-8, but Mark Stoops is proven. So
Right.
and I know they're talking about taking his job from him if he has another bad season, but he's at least proven winningest coach in program history. If they were ranked low and a Kentucky fan, really low in the hundreds, and a Kentucky fan was mad, I would understand. Mark Stoops is proven as a coach, and Webby's not. So, all right, we got to get into what Blake Shapen said about the offensive line. He brought up someone on the offensive line that's performing well that kind of caught my attention. I did not expect that one. We'll talk about that coming up next.
Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. And this one surprising thing I noticed once I started using Monarch was just how many subscriptions I have and how fast they add up. With everything being a subscription now, from food delivery apps, streaming services, even online news sources, so many things require subscriptions. And when you're not paying attention to it, that adds up. And so much of your money is just going to that over and over and over. And then once you see it all laid out, you start realizing you don't necessarily need all of that. And that's where Monarch can really help you, is having all of that in one place to see how much money you're spending on that and get that under control. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year.
All right, well, thanks for being Locked On Mississippi State, your first listen every single day. Part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, so players were available after practice. This was the end of last week. And Blake Shapen was asked about a variety of stuff. But one thing he was asked about was the offensive line and how it's been looking. He says it's been good. Obviously, right now it's so hot outside. It's just getting those guys going. But it's been good. We've added some new guys. Brennan Smith at center, he's been awesome. Zach Owens, guys like that. And then Blake Steen, bringing those guys in has been good. They're working their tails off right now, but trying to get those guys going every single day. Blake Steen's not a surprise. Brennan Smith is not a surprise, but Zach Owens, a guy didn't play much at Colorado and came with Load over here. Interesting to see his name mentioned.
Yeah, a little bit surprised. And, we're talking about Shapen.
It's never a bad thing.
So, of course, my dog is barking a little bit because we're talking about Shapen right now. But, yeah, it is. When you have a young guy who comes over like that, and, he was a highly rated recruit. So it's not surprising that he has some talent that's going to start showing out. But he's going up against a lot of veterans who were here for a while. Not all of them came over. He was one of the last ones to come over. So it's great when you see that. And having him in that, it really kind of changes our perception. When we did kind of our position breakdowns, we didn't have him as one of our starters. We kind of had him as probably the number 2 guy, most likely at one of those guard spots. And if he's taken over, that means, you hope it's because he's really showing out to that level and not because one of the guys isn't doing what you expected him to.
Well, and he's young, that's another bonus. And he's a big guy as well. And I think if Phil Lodeholt wanted him to come with him to Mississippi State, that tells you Lodeholt saw something in him, even though he didn't play a whole lot last year. And so that's a positive as well. And he's a guy that's going to know Lodeholt's coaching style and kind of the schemes, because the offensive line coaches usually add in some schemes, especially run game stuff, into the offense as well. And he's worked with Jeff Lebby, so they probably already knew a lot of it. But, so that's good to see a guy kind of out there that wasn't really on the radar as someone that we thought would contribute this year being mentioned. Some people can take it as a negative that the guys that we thought would step up aren't, but that's, I don't think that's the case. I think Zach Owens is playing really good football right now.
I agree with that. Yeah. And like I said, with his talent, you expected it to show up at some point. You just didn't really expect it this quickly. And the fact that it is even better.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And so we'll see if he ends up becoming a major contributor, but it's interesting that he was a guy that Blake Shapen straight up, mentioned. He also talked about guys like Brennan Thompson and Anthony Evans and the leadership role that they have kind of taken on. He said, yeah, early on, BT showed his presence, his leadership skills, everything about him at a very early stage. And it's good to have those guys, especially when I have something to say or something. I know Brennan can come in or whoever it may be with a powerful voice too and be able to back me up. It's pretty special to have guys like that in leadership roles. And so we've talked about the leadership on this team needs to be better, and it's an important emphasis. And it sounds like those guys are stepping up like we've heard from a lot of people.
And it's something we kind of expected just from just what we knew about Brennan Thompson, and hearing about him and the fact that he was picked to go to media days. It's not surprising that his name keeps popping up from just about everyone that, talks like, yeah, he's being a leader, which is great. And, hopefully it's getting to the point where I'm glad we're hearing all this, but I need to see some stuff on the field. Like, I know we're getting practice film, but being a leader, it's great and all, but until you see results on the field and you actually see market improvement from either position groups, units as a whole, things like that, I mean, it's great, but it's kind of like, yeah, so what?
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing that kind of popped out to me was, Chad Bumphus said this is maybe his favorite group of receivers. Well, Shapen kind of echoed that. He said, this is definitely the most talented room that I've been a part of. And I can honestly say that last year we were really talented, but it's pretty crazy to think you can grow from last year and have an even better room. And I think we do. This wide receiver room, while not proven, has a lot of work to do, is getting a lot of love this offseason.
The hype train is almost out of control with this wide receiver room. Like, if we're not hitting some bombs, I'm going to be.
You would think someone is a star in that room, like a proven star is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you would think you had someone who was going to be a first round pick next year with the way that they're talking. Who knows? End of the year, who knows what can happen. But going into it, no one knows really. Every receiver is an idea to an extent. Like Thompson and Evans, speed guys. This guy, Ricky works in the slot. Mosley is showing stuff in practice, how all the pieces fit together. Who knows? If you want to throw in the tight ends, we've heard good things about Traore out there. So,
right.
It's kind of like, yeah, this is great. And this is super exciting, but the hype is getting out of control without there being a proven guy or like a proven guy and a 5-star recruit. With this level of hype, you almost expect one or both of those.
Yeah. And the one curious thing is he didn't like at the offensive line, he named 3 guys right off the bat. Like, these are the guys that are having these great years, but outside of that, he didn't just name off guys. Now he listed 3 guys that they retained, like Jordan Mosley, Ricky Johnson, Frisco McGee, and then he said then we've brought in Anthony Evans, Brennan Thompson, and now we just have depth. But he didn't mention like, man, this guy is showing out. Like, this is a guy to watch, or yeah, we have a really good connection, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, which is weird and something we kind of talked about a little bit with media days. Like, they were, Shapen and Thompson weren't really pointing out individuals who were doing good jobs at what they do. It's very generic. This group is doing great. We're all doing great. Things like that, which is good, but also, you want to hear some names. You want to know there's like tangible evidence as opposed to almost the coach speak type of we're doing good kind of thing. And, Shapen also talked about the other 2 quarterbacks a little bit. And he's adding to the Kamario Taylor hype train too, with his fast, physical, can throw the ball a long way. One of the best I've been around. So, you hope you don't see him much this year just because Shapen stays healthy and the offense looks good, but future looks bright.
Yep. And then coming up next, Brennan Thompson also talked about how he's handling a new location. Same scheme that he ran at Oklahoma with Levy that 1 year in 2023. But how is he adapting to the new culture in Starkville? He talked about that. We'll talk about it next. All right, well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, so Brennan Thompson was also available for media availability, and I thought he had an interesting quote about the playbook. That was the thing that
Yeah.
kind of jumped out to me the most. He was asked, who are some of the guys who have helped you with the playbook on offense? I don't want to call out media people, but I think that's kind of a lazy question, seeing that Thompson played in Levy's system
Yeah.
at Oklahoma just 2 years ago, so it's not like he should need help with the offense. He's going to know all that stuff already, especially the verbiage and stuff. But he kind of gave that answer to what I just said, because he said, well, I'm kind of the one that helps everybody else with the playbook, because I'm going to be honest with you. I know the playbook like almost like the back of my hand. So it's been good for me to kind of help those younger guys and kind of help some of those guys that don't understand it as much, because it's a different game. It's college. A lot of those guys come from either a different playbook or high school. Some things change, speed of the game changes, some things change. And so just helping them guys with that stuff. That's the thing. When you bring in a receiver that you used to coach, or you bring in any kind of player that you used to coach, that's the one benefit, is he doesn't have to come and learn a new system, learn a new verbiage. He doesn't have to do any of that. He already knows a lot of it. And so that was something that I thought was cool for him to talk about.
Yeah, and that's big, because this is year 2. So a lot of changes still happening at the team, but having someone in a room that knows what's going on, how it all works together, how it's supposed to look, can be massively beneficial. And so having him in there with a bunch of receivers who some were here last year and learned the system then, but a bunch of them, first year. So it's good to have someone in there who kind of understands the bigger picture, who can, when they're in those position group type meetings, who understands how it all works beyond just the coach, because it coming from a player is different.
Yeah, you can teach the younger guys, teach the guys that have transferred in, things like that. And it makes it where the guys that came back, Mosley and Ricky Johnson and McGee, they don't have to be the ones that have to teach everything to all the players. They have another guy who is a vocal leader also that can help do some of that teaching. He also was asked, your familiarity with the playbook from Oklahoma, not much has changed really coming over from here at all. And he said quickly, no, sir. So he's staying right there. There's not much that has changed with the playbook. And that's, again, it's common. There's not a whole lot of things that are going to change. Now, you might tweak some things to kind of fit your roster better. But while Blake Shapen, I'm not saying he's the quarterback Dylan Gabriel is, because he's not. He's not as good as that. But they have very similar styles. They're guys that can throw the football. They can run. They're kind of underrated runners, but they're not these elite runners that you want to see running all the time. And so Shapen and Gabriel are very similar that way. So there's not going to be much that changes in the offense. Whereas I'm sure a lot changed if any of the players at Ole Miss would have went with Levy to Oklahoma, a lot would have changed, because Jackson Dart is a better runner and he's a better passer than Gabriel was. And so I bet a lot of things changed from that offense to the Oklahoma offense. But Oklahoma to Mississippi State, there's not going to be much change at all.
No, there's not. And that's an expected answer. But I mean, you can always play devil's advocate and be like, well, the offense wasn't very good last year.
Right.
Why aren't you changing some things? And I'm sure there's a lot of people who are going to come out like that. Well, there's a lot of reasons why the offense wasn't good last year. And it wasn't necessarily because of the plays being called or the scheme. So, that it's to be expected. Give it time to kind of people learn the system, actually get an offensive line and a quarterback for a full year before you start saying he needs to overhaul the system. But, there's going to be people who take that response as a negative.
Yeah, no, for sure. Is there anything that fall camp that you've read, any of the quotes, things like that, that's kind of jumped out to you?
Nothing specific. I mean, from what we talked about today, I mean, Thompson talking about Ricky Johnson and Frisco having being very consistent. And then he also said, I'd throw Jordan Mosley in there too. He's had a great first 4 days. So, and then of course, because, we've talked about him being a leader. He's like, they're growing each day. Everyone's had good days, that kind of thing. So he's making sure he's like pointing out the guys. Yeah, they're doing good, but we're all doing good. Yeah. So it does seem like that receiver room is a very tight knit group too, which is, it'll be interesting to see how that plays. That's really what's sticking out to me is this receiver room, just from everything that's being said.
The hype is going crazy for the receiver room.
Off the rails right now.
Yeah, you would think this was a very veteran, has a lot of experience, a lot of production type receiving room, and it's not. But the way that it's being talked about is you would think that. So Hopefully, it shows that on the field.
Hey, if they hit 80% of the hype, this offense is going to be great.
Right. All right, well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen today. For your second listen, check out The Portal Show. Brian Smith is the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find The Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. All right, I'm Jaron. Check out my work over at Athlon Sports. That's Landon. Follow us, Locked On Mississippi State. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. We post daily videos Monday through Friday, so check that out. Also, hit the like, subscribe, or ring the bell. Get notified anytime we post on YouTube. Help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers by early college football season. We already passed the 670 mark. We're getting close to the 680 mark, so thank you guys so much for the support. It means a lot to us, and college football season's almost here, so we're hoping to bring you some great coverage with that as well. But until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.